Welcome back to another episode of the Rebel Talk. It's your host, Zach Moreth. As always, I'm back here with Billy Kuhl. Yeah, I just said his last name right. We've been working on this for several weeks at a time now, so shout out to myself for that. We got a big week here ahead of us, Billy. It's Thursday, November 13th. Florida will be coming into town in roughly 48 hours. It's going to be a fun one. It'll probably be one of the craziest atmospheres we've seen since that Georgia game last year. It's going to be incredible. But first and foremost, let's touch on the news you received earlier in the week. Obviously, we can take this with a grain of salt, but the college football playoff rankings, Ole Miss dropped one spot. Texas Tech moved into the 6 hole, and Ole Miss is slated at 7 to host a playoff game against Texas, I believe, which would obviously be unbelievable with all the Arch Manning storylines. And then if they win, I believe they'd play Indiana. That's not necessarily a bad route, if you ask me, Billy.
Yeah, I definitely think they not necessarily deserve to drop a spot, but I can understand the logic behind it. Tech just honestly killed BYU.
Wasn't even close.
And they were the 7 or 8 seed, or 7 or 8 AP poll. So makes sense why they got a little boost this week. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure who we would play after. I think it might be Indiana. But it would be. So I still think Kurt Signetti has a great job, has a great team over there. Fernando Mendoza is an absolute beast and probably going to win the Heisman. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily an easy route, but I don't think it's a gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the other teams, and like last week, for example, you get Virginia in that first round, which you would think would be a relatively easy game, but then you go play A&M, who, in my opinion, I would rather play Indiana than Texas A&M, no disrespect. Ole Miss they severely struggle with mobile quarterbacks who have cannons attached on their arms, and Marcel Reed is that guy to the max. They'll have another ranking come out every Tuesday. Ole Miss has Florida game, a bye week, and then obviously the Egg Bowl to conclude the season. Right now, if you win Florida, in my opinion, I think you lock up a spot. But the ideal situation there is to go 2-0. Are you going to the Egg Bowl, Billy?
I will be home. I'll be back home in New Jersey.
Smart man. Yeah, I decided. I went to last year's, and I was like, this is great, but I want to enjoy break back home. And also, I do not want to walk out of there with the cowbells ringing in my face in the event that Ole Miss loses. That's not for – honestly, dude, I'd save that for another time. We're already stressed out Ole Miss fans as it is. But it would be cool if we had a pretty good turnout like Tennessee did there a few weeks back in the season.
Next year I'll stay.
Yeah.
My family's already looking at flights to come down for Thanksgiving next year.
There you go, dude.
Have it in Oxford instead of up north.
Yeah. No, that makes plenty of sense. 2 more games for Ole Miss, like I said. We got a big one this week, folks, with all the different storylines. Even, Billy and I talked about it, but take Lane Kiffin out of the equation. This is still the team that forced Ole Miss out of the playoffs last year. Still the team that, has obviously been causing quite a few uproars, if you will, on social media between all the Lane Kiffin stuff. So this is going to be quite the atmosphere. It's going to be pretty unbelievable. Just your first glance, what direction do you think this game goes in?
I would like to touch on one more thing about this game, why it makes it so big, is you talked about it. If they win this game, they essentially clinch a spot, and let alone a home spot. So I think a lot of Ole Miss fans know that, and I think that's something that obviously they want. They want to make the playoffs. They want to host a game. They're still in SEC championship talks, so it's going to be a huge weekend from the atmosphere. But leaning towards the game, I have no idea where this is going to go. If I'm being completely honest, I don't have a shot in the dark.
Yeah, you look at the Florida injury list, it's another week where, God knows who the hell's going to play for them. And we saw this last week, but they go to Kentucky with a similar, volume of players who are out, and they get absolutely demolished. Kentucky runs for 200-plus yards. Keelan Lacey's going to have to establish the run game like he will in every game, but especially – to really open up the pass game for Trinidad. But then you look at the week before, and Florida's essentially hanging on tight to Georgia with a questionable call that might win them the game in the fourth quarter. So this is a team full of athletes and a team that you're definitely going to want to be prepared for heading into
Yes.
Saturday.
And I know he's not had the season that everyone thought he was going to have, but DJ Lagway is starting on Saturday despite being benched last week. And I still think he has the talent. Like, he's already shown it that he can go in and win big games and use his incredible talent. So it's something you really can't mark off.
No, absolutely not. And we touched on it, but Simmons and Eccles and Pounds, all these guys, even Harris, all these guys who were there last year, they're going to be the first to tell you that I don't care if Florida lost to the Citadel last week. You have to come and prepare like this is a Super Bowl because they're an SEC team with players who are probably going to find their way in the NFL, several of them in the next coming years. So it's going to be interesting. I think with Andrew Jones playing in that linebacker core, it's going to be important. Ball, I think, is their running back. He's a phenomenal player. He's been getting it done on the ground. But again, Andrew Jones and TJ Daugherty have done a really nice job correcting themselves in the run game since on the road in Athens, which still gives me PTSD. But I'm relatively confident in this defense as well as the offense with Trinidad playing at the level he is, Billy.
I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I'm looking for Trinidad to make a statement this week. Like, he's had like his good games and he's had his like statement win against Oklahoma and LSU. But I'm looking for some that, because I feel like those games were a big majority of everything. I'm looking for Trinidad to take over this game, make it his own.
The Heisman moment, baby.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
You like that? Yeah. We'll juice them up a little bit. Do you think I got a good question. Do you think they'll play the song again, the AI song?
Depends.
Okay.
Is he playing well or is he playing terrible? Or is he just
Right. Yeah.
because last
That's
week it was very warranted. I mean,
yeah.
29 for 33, 333 yards and 3 touchdowns. Yeah. I think his
It-
song should be ringing through the stadium.
and weirdly enough, it is kind of groovy. So
It's a banger.
shout out to
It's a
whoever
banger.
created that, man. So I gotta give a lot of credit to the AI artist there. But yeah, Trinidad, he's gonna be really important. And the offensive line, there isn't a team that they haven't played who can't prepare them for Florida. Ole Miss beats Oklahoma on the road. South Carolina was in a similar spot, I feel, as Florida, a team full of really physical guys who didn't have much to lose. And Ole Miss played them pretty handedly. There's a lot more storylines in this game. I understand that. But Florida is a team who does not have a head coach and has several players injured as well. I'm not saying that this is going to be like an absolute blowout from Ole Miss. I don't think that's the case. But I do think quite a few things would have to go wrong for them to lose this game. Billy, what do you think?
I agree, and I think it has to do with keeping your head level. Not getting too high, not getting too low. It's going to be a pretty emotional game for both sides. But I think when it comes to football, I think Ole Miss is the better football team. But again, you just have to not get too emotional, and you got to stay locked in on the
No,
actual
no,
football part of it.
absolutely. And the external part of it is heating up a little bit. Billy and I touched on it before the show, but Florida donors are continuing to gain confidence in the situation. It sounds like they're throwing out a pretty outrageous number to Lane Kiffin, somewhere in the 14 or 15 million range. None of that's confirmed. These are just rumors. Let me make that very clear. But it's going to continue to be a battle for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss to try and retain him. And you'd imagine that the Rebel fans are going to step up and do everything they can to retain him. But at the same time, let's just say for hypothetical sake, Florida's offering him $15 million. Is that worth it in today's landscape, Billy, for Lane Kiffin?
I think so.
Okay.
Just because, like, if he leaves, you have to restart your foundation.
True.
He's been here for too long now where it is Lane Kiffin's football team. It's not a transition period. Like, it's his team. Not to mention, who are you going to hire at this
Right.
point? So that's another thing, is like, now you got to restart. And realistically, all the coaches that are still on the board just aren't quite at the Lane Kiffin standard.
Yeah.
So I would say so. I think retaining, and I also, like you've touched on a bunch of times, they're in a great spot transfer portal wise, recruiting wise, and if they make the playoffs and all that, like he's not really have time to build anything anywhere else before it, but he would have such a head start here. So I think it would be
Right.
great for his legacy as well.
Dude, I'm not Lane. Clearly, this is the Ole Miss perspective, but if you make the playoffs, none of this entire situation makes any sense at all. I get it. Maybe a $15 million contract can turn your head a little bit, but you really have to look internal here and think if you're Lane, you got your entire family here, which we've talked about on endless podcasts, and you've shown that you can get it done here. Pete Golding's here. Pete Golding is not going to leave anywhere because his wife is deeply rooted in Ole Miss. Randall Joyner's raising his kids here. Kevin Smith's son is in high school here. I mean, not only would Ole Miss have to rebuild, but Lane would have to do a lot of good work over in Gainesville while competing with a lot of different Florida schools down there. USF's coming along. Not to mention Miami, Florida State, all the big dogs down there. In today's landscape, like Nick Saban said, it doesn't make sense. But I do believe that it's definitely time for Keith Carter to at least start preparing in the event that all hell breaks loose at the end of the season.
I agree. Well, I don't really have anything else to add on that.
Fair enough. All right, let's do score predictions, Billy.
Oh, and then I got one more thing
Sweet.
on this game. The fans are obviously being called. They've been being called, and they've done a great job. This week, they're getting rewarded. They're getting the party in the SIP. I don't know if you saw this. It came out today.
Tell me about it.
Pre-game activities begin at 5:30. We got senior recognition because it is the final home game of the year, but we're also getting a field laser light show.
Yes.
So,
I've been waiting for this.
And then in between the first and second quarter, drone show in the dark, kind of like they did a couple years ago. And then, they have the typical code red, but apparently there's like a full-blown fireworks show with it this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot there. I'm looking at the weather right now.
Uh-oh.
75, 56, between 75. It'll probably be around 60 during game time. Sunny all day, except for when that sun goes down. It goes tonight. You really can't ask for much more. This is peak weather. Ole Miss fans will be there, and man, oh man, I do believe this environment will be quite up to par with what we saw against Georgia last year, and
Probably better.
Yeah, I'm pretty fired up just talking about it. So it's fun. The light shows are great, man. Shout out to the Ole Miss.
I love it. And I mean, Ole Miss has a great social media team too, so I can only imagine what's going to go with it.
Oh yeah, dude. No, they click on all cylinders. So huge shout out to them. Anything else, Billy, before we do score predictions?
I think we got it all. It's time
Awesome,
for score predictions.
I'll get rolling here. I think Ole Miss. I don't think this is a game. At times it'll feel close, but I do believe they'll end up pulling away just in terms of having a team that's wildly dialed in right now. They're really not letting the external noise affect them. We've seen that since the Oklahoma game. I'm taking Ole Miss 31-24. Maybe Florida, kicks a late game field goal or scores a late game touchdown, but I really do believe that the defense, offense, and coaching staff are clicking on all cylinders right now when in the facility. So I'm pretty pumped up. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. 6 p.m. kick. You can't ask for much more, man.
All right. I'm going to go with 30-17. Ole Miss takes away the win.
Bang.
Like you said, it's going to feel close at times, but I just don't think Ole Miss will let it get to them. I think they will end up just getting that late-ish game, pull ahead, touchdown, field goal, whatever it may be.
I really hope so, man. It's going to be phenomenal. Billy, are you in the booth this weekend?
Yes, me and Dalen.
Awesome. Also, another thing to point out, it's going to be interesting what these Florida beat reporters may ask Lane post-game, how they're interacting during the game. So I'm pretty curious to hear about that.
I'll keep you guys updated on Monday.
Will do, boss. That's all we got for you guys today. Be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Just tune into the rebelwalk.com for all your Ole Miss sports needs. As always, folks, hotty toddy and go Rebs. Thanks, guys.